Teams have been contacting the Knicks to make a trade for Mitchell Robinson. But according to an NBA insider, the main reason that the Knicks have not been able to land the deal for Mitchell Robinson is because of the way he's viewed around the league. According to this insider, Robinson is viewed as a tank move around the league. We're going to break down all of these latest reports today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And make sure you have notifications turned on. So anytime we drop new content, you get notified. And now, let's get started. Mitchell Robinson is seen as a tank move by teams in the NBA. We are only a few weeks away from the NBA trade deadline on February 6th. And if the Knicks want to improve this roster, they're going to need to make a trade before that time. But when you look at this Knicks team, and the trade assets that we have available to us, we are extremely limited in the players and picks that we can give up in a trade. What makes matters even worse is the way the league views Mitchell Robinson. According to an NBA insider, he revealed that Robinson is seen as a negative trade asset around the league due to his constant injuries. Teams around the NBA do not believe that Robinson will ever be fully healthy again in his entire career. Let's break down these latest reports from NBA insider Steve Popper. NBA insider with Newsday, Steve Popper, recently gave us an update on how teams view Mitchell Robinson on the trade market. A couple of things here. None of us know about Robinson because we don't see him. We don't talk to him. So it's a strange situation. But I have seen him at morning shoot-arounds, not on the court, but coming off of it. He does look like he took off some of the weight that he had to put on that I think some guys in the organization were a little worried about. But I think the problem with considering Mitch as a trade target is that the same as the Knicks consider him a risk, other teams do as well. I've talked to scouts and some executives from other teams around the league, and they kind of see a trade for Mitchell Robinson as a tank move right now because there's no belief that a guy his size who's had these multiple foot-leg injuries is not going to succumb to it again. He's on a good contract. He's a good player when healthy. But I think that there's that level of risk that people see in there, and they're hesitant to bite on any type of deal that includes Robinson because they believe if they trade for Robinson, he's just going to get injured again, and they're never going to be able to utilize him or even flip him for another asset down the road. And that's why Mitchell Robinson right now has one of the worst trade values on this entire squad. As we just heard from Steve Popper, teams in the NBA consider trading for Robinson as a tank move, basically meaning that if you make that move, you're thinking that your franchise is going to be a tanking type of team over the next few years. That's why you could consider a trade for Robinson, because even if you make that move, it's not going to take away from what you're trying to achieve in the next few years. And for a team looking to rebuild, it's to tank. Continue to tank, get draft picks, load up on them, draft certain players, and build your team back from the ground up. And I think there are only a few teams around the league that are even considering trying to trade for Mitchell Robinson. And the only team in my head that makes sense to trade for Robinson at this point in time, and that's if they want to do it and the Knicks want to do it, is the Wizards for Jonas Valanciunas. Because right now, the Wizards are one of the only teams in the league that can take more salary back from a team like the Knicks. So that's number one. Number two, if the Knicks want to flip Mitchell Robinson for Jonas Valanciunas, they can do that and hold on to Precious Achiuwa. Another main reason they'll likely make that move. But one of the major reasons that this trade makes sense is because if the Knicks want to give up an asset that likely means a lot to another team, but means nothing to the Knicks, it's that Washington Wizards first round pick. It's never going to convey for New York. But the reason that Washington would want it back is because if they get it back, they can start utilizing it in trade negotiations. And that's another factor for them because they want to rebuild. They want to get better. So why wouldn't they take back their pick that they can use in trades moving forward? However, besides the Washington Wizards, there's not that many other teams that are currently tanking that would look to trade for Mitchell Robinson and give the Knicks back a player that's impactful that we can actually utilize off the bench. So that's something to consider. But it's really hard to hear that Robinson is seen as a tank move around the NBA. I already knew his value was likely on the floor, on the ground. Given the number of injuries that he's had, he's not played in a very long time, and when he's out of sight, it's likely out of mind as well, too. Even though teams have contacted the Knicks and they're looking to see how Mitchell Robinson is, his status, his availability, and potentially want to trade for him, after hearing all of these reports and hearing how teams view Mitchell Robinson, I got to think that those offers on the table for Robinson are likely not worth anything at all, not worth even making the deal happen. Because let me tell you something. If I trade Mitchell Robinson for basically a player that's not worth anything or a player that will never be utilized on this team, I am not going to make that move. Because honestly, I would rather have Robinson rehab, fully recover, be fully healthy, added to this team, and see what he can do. Because when fully healthy, Robinson is the perfect piece for this team. The only reason that anybody would look to trade him, even entertain a trade for him, is because you want to get off of him and get another player on this team that is just as impactful because they're available more. Availability is the biggest issue with Robinson. If that wasn't an issue, nobody would be talking about trading Mitchell Robinson. That's how good he is. That's how much of an impact he has when he's on the floor for New York. But because he cannot stay healthy, he is always going to be considered a trade piece for the Knicks moving forward until he's not under contract anymore. But the Knicks trade plans, if they have any at all, have become even more difficult because the players that they like, they don't want to give them up in a trade unless a player that they covet is available. I don't see Deuce McBride or Precious Achiuwa being traded at all. With Mitchell Robinson, if there's not a legitimate offer on the table, he is not going to be moved. The Knicks don't want to move Mitchell Robinson just to move him. They want to move him for an impactful piece, a significant player to come on this team to help our bench moving forward, to add to our depth. If that's not happening, New York's not going to move off of Robinson. I don't care if the league considers him a tank move or a very negative trade asset. The Knicks don't care about that because what you consider negative now, that could all change in a month or a few weeks because teams start to get desperate as we get closer to the trade deadline and time starts to dwindle away. And that's one thing I think the Knicks might be anticipating, might be waiting for. There might not be any good offers on the table right now for anything that they're looking for, but maybe a little bit closer to February 3rd or 4th, new offers will come on the table for Leon Rose to read, entertain, and perhaps even pull the trigger on. We're going to have to wait and see exactly what those offers are. But if you know anything about Leon Rose and this Knicks front office, they are never going to let you know what move they're going to make until it's absolutely official and there's no other moves to make. Once that happens, we're going to know and we're likely going to put out videos about it, let you guys know about those updates and things like that. But as of right now, just like you, we are being patient and we are waiting for the Don, Leon Rose, to make a move and improve this team because we all can see it. We need more depth. We need more bench pieces that Tom Thibodeau will use because we cannot continue to burn out the starters as we push for a championship headed into this postseason. We need to make sure we have our ducks in a row and we understand what we need for this roster. We don't need to be burnt out. We don't need to be played 40-plus minutes a night. We need to make sure we're managing the minutes by adding players to this team that will actually be played. But what about you guys? What do you think about the following reports indicating that Mitchell Robinson is seen as a tank move around the league by other teams? Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knick fans, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace and love.